So, last year, IGN made major headlines when one of their staff members, Philip Mewson, straight up copied his review for Dead Cells from a small YouTube channel called Boomstick Gaming. That channel actually ended up calling him out on it, and well, he's not such a small YouTuber anymore. I shouldn't say that. He got a big signal boost from the story and is currently sitting at about 90,000 subs. Good on him. Philip, on the other hand, gone from IGN, and to my knowledge, still hasn't made a real apology about the whole ordeal beyond his video where he pretty much admits nothing and tries to make it sound like he was actually the victim. And his last YouTube upload was about 3 weeks ago, and yeah, safe to say, people haven't forgotten. Now, IGN is catching some new flack. Granted, I don't think it's necessarily as severe, but it's definitely embarrassing. In their review for what is probably my most anticipated game of 2019, honestly, Resident Evil 2, the reviewer complained essentially about the two storylines for the characters Leon and Claire being too similar, pretty much the same game. To quote, "I beat the story from Leon's point of view in 8 hours, which felt a little short, but I was excited to fire up Claire's campaign and see the fateful evening's events unfold from an entirely new perspective. Unfortunately, that's not what we get, at least not when we should. Resident Evil 2 will be largely the same when you finish and switch to the other person. Most of the same events happen, and Leon and Claire take extremely similar paths, meet the same people, solve the same puzzles, and fight the same bosses. This was a bit of a bummer for me." And here's the editor's note. "This paragraph is inaccurate and is being revised, because as this Twitter user states, who I grabbed this screenshot from, they ignore the second run mode, Scenario B, that this person also has a screenshot of it being right there in the menu." Now, IGN has updated the review post and even updated the score, bumping it up to a 9 after all of this. They apologized. This reviewer, Damon Hatfield, even tried to downplay the whole thing on Twitter. It's like, are these people just incapable of making normal human apologies? Like, you always gotta throw a little quip in there to be like, but who cares? But yeah, much of the internet is like, oh, he just missed it. No problem. All I'm gonna say about that is bullshit. The way the different scenarios unlock, at least in the original release, is that you beat the game on one character's standard scenario A to unlock the other character's scenario B. So like if you beat the standard game with Claire, you unlock Leon's B and vice versa. Big prompt comes up after you beat the game saying you unlocked it. And while I haven't played the new one, I'm a pleb like you guys and won't be able to play it until it releases. From what I've heard, it's pretty much the same thing. And again, this screenshot makes it seem like it's pretty hard to miss in the menu, again, once you've unlocked it. What this sounds like to me is either this reviewer is the most unaware professional games journalist on the planet, or he didn't even beat the game the first time. Because yeah, if you just play through some of, say, Leon's campaign and then fire up Claire's, yes, you won't have access to a Scenario B and will get pretty much the same experience. But again, maybe not, maybe he did just miss it. So let's say that he did a totally thorough job reviewing Leon's and somehow didn't notice the menu option. And going further, maybe this reviewer is just not familiar with the series, with the original Resident Evil 2, because it unlocked the same way in that game. Like myself, that's what I fully expected to happen with the remake. But let's, yes, go further and say he missed it, and yeah, he didn't know that's how it worked in the original. Okay, still, did no one else at IGN know about this either? No one who read this review before it went out? No one he talked to? Like, I'm assuming these chuckleheads communicate with each other on some level. You're telling me in a hive of all these epic game journalists, at no point with another coworker, his editor, whoever, was this reviewer like, oh yeah, it kind of sucks that you just have the two playthroughs that are practically the same, in which, again, anyone who has played the original would be like, did you play the second scenario? Yeah, it's, again, one of those situations where if you want to tell me, no, ChiGuy, you're being too harsh, he missed it, that's fine. But then you have to be arguing that he is totally clueless, knows nothing about the original, which it's like, why didn't they get somebody who does? And neither does anyone else who read the review before it went out, or anyone there that he talked to beforehand. Just like I said about the plagiarized review from last year, These idiots get paid to review these games. They get free review copies, weeks, sometimes even more in advance, so that they can thoroughly experience it and do their full review before the game releases. There is no excuse, in my opinion, for the level of incompetence that is seeming to become the norm here. Again, just like the plagiarizer, you can be like, oh, well, it was just this one time. Yeah, one time that we know of, okay, because he was caught. Same with this review. He didn't play the whole game, and this was just the time they were caught, which means you have to wonder, how many times were they not caught? Personally, I've long been done with IGN, a lot of these big gaming news sites, in terms of trusting them at this point. I really don't know how anyone else does, but clearly they have an audience, and it's like, you're totally misinforming people because you couldn't be bothered to play through the whole game, or at least look into it, because yeah, don't forget, this is a remake, not a new game. About 2 minutes of looking up info on the original game, and you'd learn about the different scenarios. And even beyond that, it's like you've got people from these sites like IGN and others. I don't know if this reviewer in particular said anything like this, don't want to throw him under the bus more than I have to. But you've got these people pushing this whole entitled gamers narrative. Like us, the players, are entitled when we want the games we spend money on to be of high quality. You know what I think is entitled? Getting a game for free, getting paid to play that game, to write a review for it, and then not only not bothering to play the whole thing, but then getting caught for doing so and then brushing it off like, no big deal. That, in my opinion, is being f***ing entitled. Anyway, with that, this video's a wrap. Let me know what you think about the latest IGN review debacle in the comments. If you're one of the people defending this as just a simple slip up, like, oh, you're overreacting, I'd love to know how you explain something like this falls through the cracks. Like I said, he didn't know about the scenarios in the original. Nobody he talked to at IGN or his editor knew about them. I just don't see how you explain it without them all seeming like incompetent morons, or he just didn't even finish that original Leon playthrough. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed this discussion of IGN's latest review disaster. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing, and if you want to keep the conversation going, hit me up on Twitter, @JohnnyZakari, and join my Discord, ChiGuy and Friends. Link to both in the description below. The Discord community has another one of those Smash Brothers tournaments going on this weekend, so you may want to check that out. As always, I'm John Zakari, and thanks for watching.